Well, that's a bit embarrassing. I was just literally sitting here talking to my camera, thinking I'm recording myself, but I'm not. I wasn't. And I was literally going on, I don't know, a 5-10 minute rant. So I'm gonna have to recap this. Obviously, I'm sitting in my truck, I'm sweating. I'm sitting out here. This is, I don't know if you can see this, Garner's Nature. There's Kava. That's about to pick up some supplements, about to get some good food. And this is not at all what I was talking about in my video, but it is very important to take care of yourself, especially when you're a path of entrepreneurship, personal development. How you nurture yourself has a huge impact on everything. The food that you put in your body impacts your microbiome, which impacts your serotonin, which impacts everything. So, the idea, and obviously, supplements. I love to shop at Garner's Natural Life because they have vitamins, minerals, herbs, and some of my favorite supplements are going to be lion's mane. I like creatine, and I like both those supplements for their cognitive effect. It helps me focus and concentration. And Kava, it's fast food, but it's clean eating for the most part, right? So when I'm on the go, I'm in the rush, I'll pop in here, Garner's Nature. I'll make sure I stock up on my supplements. I'll make sure I got something decent to eat. But the message I wanted to share, obviously health and wellness is one of my first passions. I'm in the construction space. We specialize in fence installation here in Columbia, South Carolina. Right now I'm in Lexington, so we service the surrounding areas. And really, fencing wasn't what I wanted to do, but when I started out being a handyman, that was one of my first jobs that was, over $1,000. It was a lot of work. I think the total job was like $3,000 or $4,000. A lot of work. Took me a while to get done. It was hot, but I saw the potential. That was my first year in handyman work. I think I've been doing this for 3 summers now. Because then the following summer is when I decided to really just dive deep into fences, and I've been doing fencing primarily for about a year now. And last month we did $127,000 in revenue. The previous month we did $113,000 in revenue, which is a blessing. And now the thing that I need to work on is working out those other variables so that we increase our profit margins. It's like I'm sitting in a free sauna. Look at this, getting that sweat on. But anyways, the whole point is to obviously make money, right? Sure, you can bring in thousands and tens and thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars into the business, but if the business isn't profitable at the end of the day, you're really taking on a lot of risk, a lot of liability for nothing. You're paying out all this money in payroll, and it's not a charity, right? I think the number one reason for anyone to be in business is to make money. That's it, period. Ain't no other reason to have a business other than to make money. You want to do it for fun or whatever. But and then the benefit is like, I think entrepreneurship is one of the greatest paths to personal development, honestly, because you have to learn how to communicate. You have to be a leader. Like, leadership is huge, right? And the biggest thing about leadership is communication. That's huge. And how that translates into other areas of your life is also huge, because in relationships, you have to communicate, right? If you're not communicating in your relationship with your significant other, what are you doing? And to be honest, as a man, you gonna step into your masculine leadership role, or are you gonna let your wife lead? I mean, a lot of wives lead. Don't get me wrong. A lot of wives lead, and there are a lot of strong women. I'm with a strong woman. I mean, she's a nurse practitioner at an urgent care, right? So she runs she runs it there. Like she is one of the, lieutenants, captains on that ship. So being with a strong woman is also, it has its challenges. But, I think when you're in a partnership, I mean, it all depends. Like I said, you can live your life however you want, but I'm a traditional guy. So I don't care, you can be like, the whole idea is for us to work together to achieve a common goal, right? And if the goal is to essentially become wealthy, buy back our freedom, travel, and have great experiences, then yeah, we got to work together in this thing, and we get on the same page. But I really wanted to speak on something that I heard today. It was a video from a pastor, a preacher, I believe, and he was talking about becoming the greatest version of yourself and how that would entail leaving pieces of yourself behind. And the analogy he gave was a pencil and the pencil sharpener. He's like, how do you think the pencil feels if it had feelings going through the pencil sharpener, whether it was a manual one or a mechanical one? Like, that pencil doesn't come out the same. And just leave it at that, right? Because as you sharpen the pencil, it disappears. And our life is finite, right? As we go through life, we essentially, we're leaving pieces of ourselves behind in this world. But for you to hone in on that point so that you can scribe, you need to leave pieces behind. And as you continue to write, there are times that you get dull, and then you have to go back into that sharpener to hone in on yourself, right? You think about sharpening a sword. That's a very similar concept. And every time you sharpening your sword, like, you're losing a bit of your blade, but your blade is becoming sharper. You're spending time with it. You're sharpening it. You're getting ready for battle. You're getting ready for war. Right? You don't want to go to war with a dull sword, right? So you don't want to go sit down and write at your desk with a dull pencil, right? But you're always leaving a piece of yourself behind so that way you can be your best self. So you will have to think, like, maybe as things evolve, as we innovate, you have to change and adapt. You're leaving a piece of yourself behind. As you're on this path of growth and personal development, you might even have to leave people behind that don't serve you. You're gonna have to leave your habits behind that don't serve you. Think about it, right? If you have a habit of sleeping in, procrastinating, eating junk food, you say you want to be healthy, you want to lose weight, you want to become a multimillionaire, you want to buy back your freedom, you might have to tell you getting up early, going to the gym, eating healthy, studying, all habits that you probably don't have at the moment, but you will have to develop so you can get to that next level. So the part of you that is lazy, wants to sleep in, doesn't have discipline, eats unhealthy, hangs out with the wrong people, little by little, you might lose friends. You might start to get up early. You might start hitting the gym more frequently. You might start eating healthier. And as you start to see your life shift and change and you're getting better results, then you might go a little deeper with it. You might start investing in courses. You might hire a coach. And then you learn more about yourself and you start figuring out the pieces of yourself you need to leave behind to become great. So that's the message for today, man. I just wanted to share that. And, hopefully that might help somebody.